Hello and welcome back to Cracking the Cryptic. I am delighted to bring you another puzzle by the wonderful constructor Ard van de Wetering today, who, in case you're wondering where he's from, has provided a big clue with this puzzle, which is brilliant, and we will do that in a moment. I love the look of it. And I'll say more about that in a second. But first of all, don't forget that on Patreon, we've got a new monthly reward coming on the 1st of June. That's going to be brilliant. The artwork, the whole thing, it's fantastic. But already on Patreon, we've got Simon solving Fistomafel's Skyscraper, which is incredible in every way. I mean, I can't explain it unless you watch the video. Well, I can't explain it. You must watch the video. There. I said it. Now, there's also all of our apps, which various people have been working their way through and have been complimenting us on them, which most of those compliments go straight on to the constructors because the apps are fantastic. We highly recommend them. And there's also our merch and Sven's SUDOKU pad on the links under the video. But the first link is to this puzzle, Mountain and Valley by Ard van de Wetering. Now, Ard was the constructor of the Magic Square puzzle that was the video that has been viewed the most times on this channel. 9 million it has passed. 9 million views of that one video, that one puzzle. But that's not all, because Ard was also the author of the first viral video we had, I think. Was that the one which had 500,000 views earlier? Anyway, I think he's responsible for our two biggest videos, which is just incredible. We have featured him over 30 times. That is definitely true. But he keeps coming up with these great new ideas. Now, the great new idea here is what this puzzle looks like. We have done... No, in the Magpie, we have featured a number of puzzles, and I've seen them in the listener. They're crossword puzzles with complicated rules, where the end product has been that you colour the grid in a certain way. And I have seen about a dozen such puzzles, which end up being flags. I remember one which was the flag of the Republic of Congo. I remember one which was the flag of the USA. That was quite a special one. I remember a few Union Jack efforts. I did one myself which ended up as the flag of the Seychelles. And there have been many others, but I don't think I've ever seen a Sudoku puzzle which started as a flag or even ended as one. But maybe that's a challenge for the other constructors. In case you are wondering where Ard is from, look at this grid and know your world flags. Well, actually, if you really know your world flags, you'll be saying, oh, maybe it looks a little more like Luxembourg. But that is because Luxembourg has basically the same colours but with a lighter shade of blue at the bottom, which is kind of how this has come out in our software. But red, a tricolor, horizontal tricolor with red, white and blue is the flag of the Netherlands, and that is where Ard hails from, and he's managed to construct a puzzle that uses those. So here are the rules. It's a brilliant idea. Normal Sudoku rules apply, 1 to 9 in every row, every column and every 3 by 3 box. For every coloured cell, so that's all the red cells and all the blue cells. So it doesn't actually matter that they're red and blue, that's just Ard's conceit in making them like the Netherlands. I'm using conceit in the old meaning of it's a nice bit of whimsy. For every coloured cell, the digits in all orthogonal neighbours, i.e. those sharing an edge with that cell, are either all greater or all less than the digit in that cell. So whatever's in this cell, these three are either all greater than this one or less than it. A digit cannot repeat along a main diagonal. They're marked in green. Now, if we'd marked them in blue, I think there'd be a bit of a clash, so I've done them in green. And those are the rules. They are very simple rules. We've got a few given digits, which Ard has been very generous about. Now, I do have some further full disclosure about this puzzle. I sent it off to a tester. Ard sent in the puzzle. I put it in our software, sent it off to a tester who replied that it wasn't solvable. And I was very surprised, you know, that it was broken. I was very surprised, and I did send it to another tester who said the same thing. And I wrote back to Ard and said, can you send a solution through so the tester can see what they're not understanding? They weren't misunderstanding anything. I had transposed the first 2 digits in the puzzle, the first 2 given digits up here. So I'm sorry to the testers, I'm sorry to Ard, I'm sorry to myself for being a monkey man. But here we are. This is Mountain and Valley by Ard van der Wetering. So you will think of these cells, if you do puzzles in all the coloured cells are like either maximum cells with the ones surrounding them being lower or minimum cells with the ones surrounding being higher. Basically, that's how to think of it. Let's finally try this puzzle now. Let's get cracking. Okay, so... right, here's a start. I've got to start immediately. 4 is bigger than 1. That is a knowledge bomb. You can basically write that down, note the date that you learned it, and attribute it to Cracking the Cryptic every time you trot out the fact that 4 is bigger than 1. But the point is that this cell is bigger than its surrounding cells, and therefore this cell is smaller than 4, and it sees 1 and 2, so that is a 3. This cell has to be bigger than its surrounds. Now, this is bigger than 3. So this cell has to be smaller than 6 by the rule. It's 2 or 5. I'm quite surprised how many digits we've been given for this puzzle, because it feels like a very approachable rule set to me. This is bigger. That is smaller. Maybe this is just a decent start and it's going to get harder. No, look at 5. 5's brilliant because 2 is smaller. So 5 is surrounded in this box by 1, 3 and 4. And these other cells in the corners are 6, 7, 8 and 9. We've got a 6 up there. We've got a 7 down here. And now I think, however we fill in the digits in this box, all of these 9... okay, all of these 9 cells will obey the rule vis-a-vis the other cells in the box. We still have to make sure... we also know then that this cell is smaller than that, because this cell is smaller than that, and so on. I don't quite know what that means. It means 9 isn't in any of those cells. That's not how to do the puzzle. What is this? This is 5, 7, 8 or 9 by Sudoku. And it's definitely bigger than this. So it's not 5. Yeah, that's a fair deduction. This is 5, 7 or 8. No, it can't be 8 by just looking down the puzzle. So that is 5 or 7. Now, okay, here's one way of looking at these maximum and minimum cells. I think the situation is, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but I'm just going to create a pen tool here and say, I don't think you could have a thermo running like that, because this cell would be at the same time bigger than that neighbour and smaller than that one. And I think that applies in any set of 3 cells in the coloured cell, in the coloured area. The same is true here. Look, if this was a thermo that you could draw of the number increasing as you went along it, it would break the rule. That's really weird. So anyway, that means that this digit can't get into a thermo way. It can't be 5, making that 7. And it can't be 2 either. So we have to avoid these hypothetical thermos. That might be a way of simplifying how we look at it for me. Here's another thing. This is bigger than this. So this has to be smaller than this. This has to be bigger than that as well. So it's 7, 8 or 9. It has to be bigger than 5 and it's not 6. So now we've got 2 of the 7, 8, 9 digits. This is bigger than It must be, yeah. This is also biggish because it's going to be bigger than 2. It can't be smaller because you'd be creating a thermo from 1 to something. So it is bigger, and it has to be bigger than 4 different cells, so it's at least 5. So now I've got a 5, 7, 8, 9 quad, and these others in the row are 1 and 4. It's an odd puzzle to look at, actually, just to consider how it works. Now, this one, can this be smaller than both of these? Yes. And indeed it has to be, doesn't it? Because it's smaller than that. So it must be smaller than these two. So these are from 7, 8, 9. That's a 7, 8, 9 triple. This is a 5. That's a 2. This is not a 5. Yeah, we just have to do this high-low thing everywhere in the colours. It's not quite as straightforward as I sort of thought at first, and that's fine. In a way, I wasn't expecting that originally. It was just when we started getting a few digits here, I thought, maybe this isn't too hard a puzzle by hard. Now, this is lower than 6, obviously, so these have to be higher than that. And then these are going to have to be lower. Basically, high and low are always going to have to alternate. As you go along the top row, for instance, you go higher than that. That's therefore lower than that. That's therefore higher than that. That's how the rule operates. So we have to kind of bounce up and down all the way along. Now, somewhere, one of these 4 are all maximum cells, therefore. These 4. Now, that doesn't have to mean that they are 6, 7, 8, and 9, because 5 could appear being higher than 2 and 3. Okay, let's just look here. That's a minimal cell. I don't quite know how to do the puzzle, actually, but I do know more about it than I did at the start. Oh, that 8 is looking at those 2, so 8 goes there. That's really very obvious if you just look at Sudoku, which I should do from time to time. It often helps in solving a Sudoku puzzle, I find. Now, come on, what does that do? Now, I've been ignoring the white cells because they don't have to obey the rule, but these cells do have to obey the rule as far as the white cells are concerned. So that means this is bigger than all its surrounding neighbours. So 6 is bigger than 3 and 2, but it's also bigger than this cell, which is 1, 2, or 5. This is bigger than 1 or 2. This is smaller. Maybe it doesn't help much at this stage. 7, 5, 9, 8. No, I don't know what to do with that. I got an 8 on the diagonal. Oh, this 7 is obviously bigger than the digits around it because you can't put 8, 9 and 10 around it to be bigger digits. And also we're alternating along the bottom row. That's worth remembering. And also in this row we're alternating, so that's lower than its 4 surroundings, and so is that. Neither of them can be 6, so they must be part of a 1, 3, 4 triple. They can't be 6 because, again, they're surrounded by 4 digits, which can't be 7, 8, and 9 only. So 7 in this row goes here. This is a 6, 9 pair. 4, 3, 6, 7, 8. 8's in one of those 2 cells. Now, if that was 8, yeah, that's fine. High is fine there, okay. 7 is in one of those 2. That can't be 4 because of the diagonal. We've got a 4 in the corner. 6, 9 pair. This is lower than its surroundings. This is higher than its surroundings. Could it be 4 with 3 there and a 1, 2 pair here? I suppose it could. Although, yeah, it could. That would be 6 in the row. Okay. Oh, 7 is looking up the grid at that cell. It's really very obvious when you stop to notice it. 9 there, that's a 7. This can't be 7. 7 is placed in box 8. That is bigger than this cell, of course. But that's fine. Yeah, I mean, this alternating of cells, it's actually maybe not quite as hard to achieve. I mean, when I first looked at this rule set, I thought, how has anybody created a grid that does this? But actually, as long as you're alternating high and low, it's not quite as restrictive as I had thought. Oh, where does 7 go on this diagonal? Not in this box, and not in those cells by Sudoku. So it's definitely in one of those two. I don't quite know if I can use that. I have a feeling it's going to be there, but feelings are not what we're indulging in here. Right, where's 9 in this box? It can't be in any of those cells because they're lower than their surrounds. So it's in one of those two, off the diagonal. Where's 9 and 6 are off the diagonal here. 9 on the diagonal, right, 7 sees that cell, and it has to be higher than this cell. So that's not 9. That's not 9 on the positive diagonal. 9 is definitely in one of those two cells, and that is meant to be lower than this, so that's no problem. If this was a 9, that would be a 9. Yeah, it's not... Okay, maybe I should think about which of these is a 4 and has to be smaller than its... Oh no, look, I've got a 1, 3, 4 triple that I hadn't expected here. So one of these two is a 3, and that's not a 3. 1, 3, 4 triple and a 5 there. 6 and 7 have to be in those cells in column 5. Now 7, what did we say? It's either there or there on the diagonal. And 6 is in one of those. Hmm. 1, 3, 4, 6, 7. These are bigger than their surrounding cells, so neither can be a 2. So 2 must be in that group of cells as well, along with 6 and 7. And this is an 8, 9 pair. You couldn't put 2 here because its surroundings couldn't all be less, and the same is there. Yeah, okay, that is right. Unsurprisingly, we get 6, 7, 8, 9 in a pattern like that. And then 2 is now in that cell in box 2. I should probably have used that thing I found about the impossibility of imaginary thermos, but I didn't really know how to go on using it. Oh, that can't be a 1 by Sudoku. So one of those is a 1, which stops that being a 1. Right. This is lower than its 4 surrounding cells. So that is higher. That is not 1. Where's 1 on this diagonal now? It is not there, we've just discovered. Obviously, it's not in lots of the other pencil mark things. So it's either there, which we've just worked out it's not, because it's in one of those two and they both see it. So it's in one of these 3 cells on the diagonal. Now, that doesn't rule it into this cell, does it? I don't think it does. It felt exciting when I was discovering it. Where's 2 on this diagonal as well? Oh, it could be in the middle. Otherwise, it's also in one of these 3. 1, 8, 2, I don't know. I'm struggling a bit here. We've got a 7. Yeah, it could be there. 8, 7, one of those 3 is what I was trying to say. These are less than 8. Right, what we need is the kind of middly numbers, like 6. And then surrounding them with lower numbers is restrictive. Not, big extreme numbers like 9 and 1 don't really help us. If that was a 4, 3 and 1 in this box. Well, 3 would have to be in one of those places. That would be very interesting. No, I don't have a reason. I don't have a reason why anything, really. I need to come up with something else. We've got 8 in one of those cells. These are from 1, 2, 5. 8, 9 are a pair in this column, aren't they? Yes, they are, Mark. Thank you. So these are from 1, 2, 5. Is that pair any use? No. Somewhere there's some cell in this puzzle that's just screaming out to be incredibly useful, and I don't know where it is. It's interesting that this is just not very straightforward. I'm not saying I thought it was definitely very straightforward, but I thought it would be a bit more approachable than I'm finding it. Okay, if that was a 9, this is a 6, 8 pair. 2, 6, 7. It's all about the diagonals, I think, now. Or maybe it's about the fact that these are all lower than their surrounds. And how are we gonna... Where are we gonna fit the high digits? This is... both of these are higher than 3 or 4. So they are 4, 5, 6 or 9. Does that do anything? I don't think it does. 6 has to be higher than that. This is higher than that. This is higher than that. This is higher than that. Yeah, I'm not really getting very far. 2, 5. That was a useful digit because of 1, 3, 4. That's the same as that. Now, ooh, this is higher than this. It's not 2, 6 or 7 or 9. Can't be 1, so it's 3, 4, 5 or 8. If it was 3, that would be a 1 to be lower. That would be 4, that would be 5. This would be 8 or 9. No, I'm not really getting this puzzle. I must... Oh, this... It could be 2. It just has to be higher than that. So that could be 1. That's an irritant, honestly. That is an irritant. 7, 6, 9. So 2 in this box. It is narrowable down from these 3 because this cell has to be higher than all of those 3. So 2 is in one of those 2 places in the box. That's no, I mean, it's no use. Well, hang on, is it? Because if 2 was there, that's lower. Or rather, this cell has to be lower than that. So that would make this a 1. Oh, that's quite a thought. 2... No, I was going to say 2 appears somewhere in this row and 1 must be lower in that row. But no, if 2 is in a cell below a maximum, then it doesn't have to do that at all. Right, let's imagine that was a 1. This is 2, that's 3. No, I don't know. This is lower than 7 and either 6 or 9. It's difficult. This is difficult. I finally feel confident enough to say that I think this is quite tricky, this puzzle. It's taken me a while to even get to that stage. 182. Now, 7 is up here. There's an 8, 9 pair. It's the diagonals. I've got to focus on the diagonals. 4, 8. These are all lower than their surrounds. So, does 7 have to be in one of these? I don't, well, yeah, obviously these can't be 7. That's just Sudoku or there. And 7 can't be there. 7's in one of those two. We've said that earlier. I'd forgotten. 9 is in one of these two. This doesn't have to have a relationship with its surrounding cells because it's white. It's not coloured. Okay, come on, Mark. That's bigger than that. What about this then? Smaller. Oh. Yeah, no, those are all smaller than their surrounds, and these are all bigger. What does that mean for these? Does it mean 5's amongst them? Well, 5's not in the middle. So 5 somewhere is off this. So it's either there with a bigger number here, there with a smaller number here, there with the same deal, or there with a bigger number. It doesn't really get anything done. Gosh, sorry, I'm probing around a bit here. Now, 6 in one of these 3 cells. These ones are bigger than their counterparts. That one would be smaller. So if 6 was there, it would be surrounded by 7 and 8, and those would both be 9. That's not possible. So 6 is not there. So in this column, 6 is now in one of these 3. How does that help anything? Don't think it does. 2 and 6 are there. 9 is here. These are smaller. This is 3, 5, 7, or 8. 9, 9. Sorry, I sound like a German denier of things. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. I just don't know. Okay, whatever that is ends up in one of these cells. And I was going to say it can't possibly be in one of these, but that's not even true because it could be an 8 sitting there with a 9 below it. This 2, 6, 7 triple. I can't even say that that's not a 2 because that can be a 1. Oh, rats. 5 there would make that 6 or 9. It's tricky, actually. It's clever, but it's hard. This sees 9 on the diagonal, 5, 8 in the column, 7 in the box, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and it's lower than that cell. I mean, what are we running out of room for on the diagonal? There must be something. I can put 5 there. But I mean, I can put, that's not the thing, because I can put 5 in any of these. I don't know. Why have the digits art has given us, why are they so helpful? And are they? It is this mountain and valley thing. That's why the title is as it is, because we go down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up along these rows. I think that has some importance. So 2 of 7, 8, 9 are there. One of these is the third one. The fourth digit in these high ones is no higher than 5. So one of these is no higher than 5. And that does mean that this cell is lower than that digit and is 1, 3 or 4. Now, could that be 4? Surround, yeah, easily actually. It does make that a 1 and that a 4. One of these would be a 1. It can be a 4. And it doesn't really inflict any hardship on the grid. For that to be a 4, these two are definitely higher. One of those is definitely a 9. If it's that one, then we have a 9 on the diagonal there, and that's a 9. And that's a 9 then. What else is that doing? I cannot see. 7 or 9. I'm really getting a bit stuck here. It's because the puzzle's a bit too clever somehow. This is higher than 2. This is higher than 4, 5, 6. No, this is lower than 4, 5, 6 or 9. And it's not 1 or 2. That's how we know, I think, that that was 4, 5, 6 or 9. So I'm going to write 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 into that, which is going to do me no good at all, but it can still be a 3. If it's a 4, that's a 3. I want to say neither of these can be a 4, but I don't think I can say that. Well, one of them's a 9, so the other one, it could be a 4. This is higher than this. I don't know where to go for information in the puzzle. Maybe I should be considering what happens to some of these digits when we go into other areas. Now, do these have to be from 1, 2, 3, 5 on this diagonal? If one of them, they can't be 6 or 7. Yeah, okay, neither of them can be 8 because they wouldn't be fulfilling their low functions. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, that is interesting. That actually gives me something. Right. Both of these, let me explain what I'm thinking. Both of these cells, we've got 6, 9, 7 in the box, so they can't be from that group. They also see 4, 8 on the diagonal. There we go. I mean, that's it. So they're from 1, 2, 3, 5. This one can't be a 2 because of that 2. And now we've got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 group on the diagonal, of which only one can be a 2. And there it is. That is a digit that I had not previously got, understood, or envisaged. So then one of these two is a 5 because of the 1, 3. In fact, this isn't a 2. This is now a 6, 7, 9 set. And this one can't be 6 or 7 because we've got a 2, 6, 7 triple there. So that's 9. This is 7, 6 in the center. And that really was a very straightforward move that I could have achieved ages ago, just never saw it. This quadruple on the negative diagonal. Well done if you were shouting that at the screen. I mean, I still don't think it's insanely easy, but it wasn't actually very complicated as an idea. And it probably proves that the diagonals do matter, as I'd been claiming. That can't be a 6, now we put 6 on the diagonal, nor can that. So 6 is fixed in this box, according to my pencil marking. That does 9 and 6 there. Now 9's in one of those cells. This 6 is higher than its surrounds, so that's 1, 3, 4, or 5. And that is a quadruple in the row, so that's not 4 or 5. And we are forming a 6, 8, 9 triple, in which this is an 8, because it has 6 and 9 in its box. That's not. 8 is one of these cells. I don't think I have the means to determine which. This is not 2. It is 1, 3, 4, or 5. And these pencil markings in the bottom row, maybe apart from that, which I haven't done yet, but they really effectively ensure that we are complied with the rule. Now, these ones are all lower than their surrounds. I think that means this is 6 or 9. If it wasn't, if it was 5 or 4, yeah, if this was 5 or 4, then all of these cells would be from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as well, and that would be 6 cells from a group of 5. So that is 6 or 9. I'm going to take out the corner mark. That's not 6 now. This is 1, 2, 3, or 4. And one of those is a 2. One of these is a 1. And that, no. How have I come to that conclusion in the box? When that, can that, because one of those is a 1 in the row, and they both see that cell. That's how I did it. So one of these is a 1 in the box, and they're not. Yeah, I'd forgotten that bit of work. 2, 7 there, 2, 7, 6, 9. This is less than that. This is less than that. They're not very exciting. One of these is a 6 with a smaller number above it. 6, 9, 1, 8, 2. This is 3, 4, 5, or 7. Actually, so is this. But that means that 5 and 7 in this column are in one of those cells, so that can't be a 5. So 5 is in one of these 2. Now, this diagonal must be where we turn our attention to now. 9, 6, right. What are the, oh, these are bigger than their surrounds. That's not 1 or 4, never has been. So we've got 3, 5, and 7 to fit in here, with 3 or 5 there, and this is a 7 in the corner. That must be right. And that does nothing on the diagonal. Well, it stopped. Yeah, that wasn't able to be 7. If I'd considered where does 7 go on this diagonal before, I would have found it that way too. But 8 is in one of these 2. 7, 9, 6. 8 on the diagonal is in one of those 3. 7, come on 7, why don't you do some work for me? That's bigger than that, this is bigger than that. This is bigger than that. It makes 2 unlikely because that forces a 1 here. But I don't think it actually rules it out of play. So where should I be looking? 8 we know is in one of those. Now, the other one of these is definitely at least bigger than that. Now, if the other one of these wasn't a 5, then what? I don't know. This would be, if one of these is a 5, that's a 3. That's 1. That's 4. Ah, that's the problem. This can't be 4 because, oh no, then you'd put 5 and 8 there. That's not a problem. Not yet. 4 with 5 and 8 there, and 3 there, and 1 there. No, maybe it's not. That is bigger than this. So if this was a 5, that's 8, that's 3, that's 9. It's these little triangles. They do things while you're not looking. This can't be a 1. Now, can this be a 1? Yes, I think it can, annoyingly. So what I'm doing now is I've established some principle and I'm failing to extend it. No, I'm missing Sudoku. 9 is looking at that cell. So that's 6, 9, 6. And 6 there has to be higher than this one, which can't be 2. I thought that was going to do something. Ooh, it nearly creates a quad, doesn't it? It does mean that 8 on this diagonal is in one of those 2 cells, and that's something I could probably have seen a while ago. Does that do anything? Nothing obvious. What about this? Or this? If that was 3 or 4, that would be a 1, 3, 4 triple. Well, it can't be 3. I'm going to say that, because this would be 1, 4, and that would be 5, and you'd have a 3, 5 pair, and that cell would be impossible. So I'm taking 3 out of there. As little as that is, that's what I'm doing. Now, if this was 4, that would be 3, 1, 5. We'd have a 3 here and a 1 here. Ah, that can't be. Okay, that's not possible. That's slightly more complicated. 4 there would put 3 here. Oh, it's okay. It's simple viewed this way, because that would make that a 1, and this would be impossible because of that being 4. So that's not 4. This is 5 or 8, which is not a huge discovery, because that just has to be bigger than this. But still, we are limiting things. If it was 5, 3, 1, 4, and that cell becomes, no, that cell becomes 3. That is possible. If that's 5, and it just has to be bigger than this, which it automatically would be. Oh, 9 is looking down at that cell. How have I not seen that when I was doing that 9 stuff before? I mean, I don't think it's going to be all that powerful, but still, tidy up when you can. This is from 1, 3, 4, 5 now as well in the column. And this one could be 8, couldn't it? Whatever that, if that was 5, we've got a 5, 3 pair here and a 5, 3 pair here. We know we've got a 5, 3 pair here, so that's not that shocking. 6, 2, 7, 9. One of these is 8. Oh, goodness. I hope it's not still more Sudoku moves that I can't see. That has to be bigger than 2. That's smaller than 8. These are all doing their jobs of being higher or lower than the cell below. 7 and 5 are in that group, so these are from 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. I don't know. I find this very hard to make progress with. Again, this group of cells seems to want to do a bit more for me. Or maybe this group. 1, 3, 5. So one of those two is a 5. So this, which is bigger than this, is not a 5 because one of those two is a 5 and they're both looking at it. It's also not 6 or 7. So it is 4, 8 or 9. If it was a 4, that's 3, that's 1, that's 5, that's 4. Okay, what else goes wrong then? I bet something does. If that's a 4, then that's a 4, and that's a 4, and that's a 4. And that's a 4, and that's a 4. How are we doing on the diagonals? Yeah, we had a 4 on that diagonal. We would get a 4 there. Those would be the positions of 4s. That actually annoyingly works. So that's not our solution. 2, 9, 6. Oh, come on, Ard. Make it easier on me. This is bigger than 2. Does it have to be 8? No, it absolutely doesn't. It's 4, 5 or 8. But it has to be bigger than that as well. So excuse me a second. Sorry about that. is it something to do with this 1, 3, 4, 5? If that was a 4, it would have to be surrounded by 5 and 8. I've looked at that before, haven't I? 7, 9, 7, 6, 2. Ah, if that was a 5, oh no, it doesn't have to be have any relationship to that cell. Bother! Thought I was onto something for a second there. Absolutely not. Goodness gracious, how do you proceed? I mean, I can see this can't be 1 because that has to be lower. That's not very interesting. Oh, one of those is a 1. We know that. This diagonal, or the other diagonal, I keep on threatening to look at the other diagonal and then not doing it much. Right, 2 on this diagonal. It's absolutely a right-in. Why have I not done that before? It's in the corner. Nowhere else for it to go. I mean, that could be massive suddenly. I don't know if it will be. We will see now. Probably not. Why haven't I asked the question, though, about 2? That's just feeble. 1, 8, 9. Now, we've got a 1 there. 1 has to be smaller than... Oh, sorry, these digits have to be smaller than the number above them. That doesn't do anything. Oh, here, that can't be a 1. This is smaller than that. No, it can still be a 7 even. That's weird. This is smaller than the one above it. And now it can't be a 1. So it is 3, 4 or 5. So is that one in the column. If this was 4 or 5, that's a triple. And this is a 1, and that's an 8, 9 pair, which is looking like a horrible deadly pattern and is quite unlikely. So there's something else wrong with that being 4 or 5. That's what that's telling me, but I don't, that's not the way I want to prove it, because part of what we want to do is not use uniqueness, because we want to prove that the puzzles we're solving have unique solutions. One, 3, 4, 5. 8 is in one of these 2. I want to say that means 8 isn't in one of those 2. I don't have that ability either. I know that 8's in one of those 2. This is bigger than its surrounds. So it can't be 3 or 1. Because 3 couldn't be bigger than both of those. So it's 4, 5 or 8. Now, look, if that was a 4, this would now be a 5, 8 pair. That would be a 3, 1 pair and break that cell. That's hard to see, and it's just because I hadn't pencil marked one single coloured cell, isn't it? Oh, I think it is. Now, there's a 1 in one of those. That's not a 1. This is still not done. If that's a 4, this is a 5, 8 pair. Oh, look at the diagonal maybe. 7, 9, 6, 2. 1 is in one of those 2 cells on the diagonal. Still more deductions to do. This is bigger than 2. Well, that's naturally going to happen. 3 is in one of those 2 cells in this box. That's quite straightforward. So that's finally going to finish this row 8, which was promising to be helpful, and I just couldn't see how I was doing it. Okay, so now we've got a triple there. This is a triple, 2, 3, 6. That is lower than 7. That is lower than, no, hang on, that is higher than this cell. Bother. Okay, but we got 3 onto the diagonal, so that's not 3. We've got 1 onto this diagonal and indeed into this box. And that 1 means this is, ooh, what have I done there? Sorry, I've suddenly created wrong markings. That's a 1 now by Sudoku. Partly because that's not a 1 and by Sudoku, and that's not a 1 by the rule. So that's a 1, that's a 9. That sorts out 9 and 8 without a deadly pattern, which is better. But if they had one, that 8 means, well, I've always known one of those two was an 8, so it doesn't mean much. This seems to be the only place for 8 in the column now. The only place for 8 on the diagonal becomes there. 2, 6, 8, 7, 4, 9. This is 3 or 5. The only place for 1 in column 6 is there. That's a 3, 5 pair, ruling 5 out of those cells and 3 out of that one. This is a 1, 4 pair on the diagonal. I mean, I don't know if this is how you're meant to do the puzzle, but it's the only way I can do it. Right, that 5 is higher than this digit. So it is 2, 3, or 4. Almost got a 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 quintuple going on, but not quite. Ah, that can't be 2 by just ordinary Sudoku. That can't be 5. They're a 3, 4 pair. This is an 8, 7 pair that can be written in. That fixes 2 and 7. That takes 2 out of this cell, which is higher than this one. Those can't have a 4 in anymore. It's only one place for 5 in the bottom row. That's on the diagonal, so the diagonal is finished. Well, one of the diagonals is finished. Now I've got a 3, 4 pair in box 6. Oh, look, that 5 sorted out 3 and 4. Okay, so this is a triple of, what, 2, 5, 6. I can put a 2 in the middle and a 5, 6 pair around them. Yeah, okay, as I look at these cells, they're basically a deadly pattern apart from one of them appearing on the diagonal. So I'm going to have to come at that through here. 3, 4 there are looking at a 3 in that cell and a 4 there. 2 there is fixed here. And that's what will get us home finally. 5 and a 6. That's not a 5. That's not a 5. That is 4, 1, 4, 7. And as promised, that diagonal finishes us off. 4, 1, 3, 1, 3 there. 4 there. 3 and a 4. That has taken longer than I expected after I began. And you will have a solution check on the version of the puzzle you solve. So that is Mountain and Valley by Ard van der Wetering. A tribute to his Dutch flag, and a very clever puzzle. And frankly, I think I did a shoddy solve. Let me know how much better you did in the comments. And we'll see you again tomorrow for more Sudoku. Bye for now.